Hey everyone, it's Kevin, and I have a new piece I'm excited to share with all of you. This is a Carnival teacup attraction that I created in Blender 3D, and it was a lot of fun to make. So I really love theme parks and carnival rides and had the idea to create something like this for a while, but it never felt like the right time. Until recently, having explored the idea to color meshes using Vertex paint. For this, I was inspired by Gaku, where he used Vertex paint in combination with grease pencil for illustrative details. I'll leave a link to his channel below. Basically, Vertex paint allows you to apply color directly onto a mesh according to its Vertex data. It feels very intuitive, just like other art programs like Photoshop, and you have a bunch of options to adjust the strength, radius, texture, fall off, and even use blending modes. Using Vertex paint was pretty significant for me. I knew it existed, I just never explored it. Before Blender, my style consisted of very bright, vibrant colors, gradients, and geometry, and I've been wanting to replicate a similar style within Blender, even doing some grease pencil experiments. After finally using Vertex paint, it kind of just clicked and helped to shift the way I think about my pieces. In addition to wanting to try out this technique, I also wanted to theme this to Final Fantasy XIV. If you don't know what that is, it's an MMORPG that's been surging in popularity lately. I've been a fan of the Final Fantasy series for a while, but I only started playing their 14th installment about 2 years ago on and off. Having only experienced MMORPGs through World of Warcraft, this felt exciting and familiar. Although I've been taking my time with the game, I've had lots of fun experiencing the story and playing with friends. More importantly, the game has these cool characters like this catfish, a Namazu, and a Moogle, which is kind of the mascot for the Final Fantasy franchise. This is where I got the inspiration for the imagery on the attraction. If you're interested in trying the critically acclaimed MMORPG, it has an expanded free trial which includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward expansion up to level 60. I wanted to say this meme at least once in this video. For the concept, I knew I wanted to create this revolving mechanism with teacups on it. I started off by exploring the idea on a live stream modeling 4 cups, including the base of the attraction and a tree in the center. I wanted the cups to go around the tree and the lanterns to hang from them, but ultimately ended up going in a different direction. Initially, I planned to have the cups toon shaded with grease pencil details. I also tested out the animation by bringing in necessary empties and parenting as needed in order to get the mechanism to rotate. When I ended my stream, I thought about it more, and that's when I decided to shift to coloring using Vertex paint. So I kept the idea for the cups to be 4 different colors: pink, blue, green, and yellow. However, with the Vertex paintbrush, I was able to achieve these gradients that went from dark to light. I was also able to achieve more depth in color, so incorporating some oranges in the yellow, greens in the blues, etc. I also kept the brighter tones a light yellow for all the cups as well. Then, once I had the cups colored, I added details using grease pencil with the orientation set to surface. This was a little bit tricky as it's not particularly easy to adjust the stroke when it's set to surface using sculpt, but it ended up working out. Then I went back to Vertex paint and added some yellow to accentuate some of the details. With the cup completed, I thought about the overall structure. I knew I wanted the base to be circular, but wasn't sure if I wanted to keep the tree. So instead, I changed the middle structure to resemble a Victorian-era carnival ride with a striped tent at the top. Inside the structure, because I was now going for this specific aesthetic, I imagined I would have murals containing the 4 Final Fantasy minions. These murals were a lot of fun for me to make. I hadn't illustrated something like this in a while and enjoyed creating these ornate frames and characters. For this, I just created the outlines of the murals first, then went in with color. The color was a mixture of set materials and Vertex color. I had to use Vertex color in order to get the darker and lighter shades on the frame to give it more dimension. Then I subtly animated them and applied a noise modifier for some ambient movement. I also added some glow and rim grease pencil effects. The lanterns were done very similarly to the teacups. I first modeled them, then subdivided to add more vertices onto the meshes. Then I used Vertex paint to color them and add details with grease pencil. They also have some grease pencil effects like glow and rim. Initially, this layer had use lights turned on. With the glow effect and a light in proximity, it creates this really intense glow, but I felt that it might be too overwhelming for this. The trees were created using Sapling Tree Gen. This is a free add-on that you can install inside Blender. You can actually search it by going to Edit, Preferences, Sapling Tree Gen. Then you can bring in a curved sapling object and specify some options. I believe I used Japanese maples for this. Then I converted them to meshes and colored them using Vertex paint to where they have a gradient that goes from pink to yellow to white. For the leaves, I actually used the grease pencil brushes by Daniel Martinez Lara. You can also install these from within Blender. With your grease pencil objects selected in draw mode, you can go to the active tool and workspace setting, then go to the brush specials dropdown and select download and import texture brush pack. Then at the top, you'll find the brushes you just installed. I used leaves and drew on the trees with the orientation set to surface. Then I went over them with the tint tool, adding some whites, pinks, oranges, and yellows. I also added some lines of details onto the trees. Lastly, I applied some glow and rim grease pencil effects to get the faded glow look. The last detail I added were liquids inside the cups. These were actually flattened spheres with emission shaders. I applied wave modifiers to have them move intermittently. To get the mechanism to rotate, each cup is attached to an empty that rotates on its own, and that empty is parented to another that rotates all 4 cups. For compositing, I just added some glare, simple star, and fog glow effects to amplify the effects already in this scene. And that's it for this piece. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was really fun to experiment with, and I'm really glad that I got to use it for this piece. If there's something I've missed, or there's a more efficient way to do something, feel free to let me know in the comments, or if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. Thanks again, and see you guys next time.